The sky above Seoul turned dark at exactly noon. President Park was eating lunch in her office when her assistant ran through the door. The young man's face was white with fear. He could not speak. He only pointed at the window. Stood up and walked to the glass. What she saw made her drop her cup of tea. Thousands of ships filled the sky. They were massive. Each one was bigger than any building on Earth. They blocked the sun completely. Their metal bodies were covered in strange symbols that glowed with purple light. His phone rang. It was the defense minister. "Madam President," he said, his voice was shaking. "This is happening everywhere. Every human colony, every city on Earth. They appeared from nowhere." Took a deep breath. She had trained for many things in her life. She had not trained for this. "Get me Admiral," she said, "and call an emergency meeting. Everyone now." 3 hours later, stood in the Great Hall of the United Earth Parliament. Every seat was filled. Generals, scientists, politicians, and leaders from all 12 human colonies watched the massive screen on the wall. The screen flickered, then a face appeared. It was not human. The creature had gray skin that looked like stone. Its eyes were completely black, like 2 holes in its skull. It had no nose, only 2 small slits. When it spoke, its mouth opened sideways instead of up and down. "I am High Arbiter," the creature said. Its voice was cold and empty. "I speak for the Galaxy Council. We have watched your species for 200 years. You have grown. You have spread to other stars. Now you have become useful." Felt her hands become fists. "The Galaxy Council has ruled this galaxy for 100,000 years, continued. "We have brought order to chaos. We have given peace to those who obey. Every species must pay tribute. This is the law. This is the way." The screen changed to show images. Saw planets covered in factories. She saw aliens of many species working in chains. She saw ships carrying resources away from dying worlds. "Your tribute will be simple," said. 30% of all your resources, 30% of your technology, 30% of your population for labor. You will pay this every year. You will continue to pay until we decide you have given enough." Someone in the parliament screamed. Others began to cry. "If you refuse," his voice became even colder, "you will join the 17 species who came before you. They also refused. They no longer exist." The screen went black. For a long moment, nobody spoke. The silence was heavy, like a weight pressing down on everyone. Then the shouting began. "We must surrender," one general yelled. "We cannot fight them. Did you see those ships?" 30% of our people," a woman screamed. "That is slavery." "We have no choice," another voice cried. "They will kill us all." Watched her people fall into panic. She watched their fear eat them alive. She understood. She felt it too. The alien ships outside were beyond anything humanity had ever seen. Their technology was centuries ahead of Earth's best scientists. But deep inside her chest, something else burned, something hot and bright. It was anger. A door opened at the back of the hall. Everyone turned to look. Admiral walked in. He was 60 years old. His hair was gray. His face was covered in scars from battles long past. He walked slowly, but his back was straight. His eyes were calm. The shouting stopped. Walked all the way to the front of the hall. He stood next to President and looked out at the crowd. "I have been a soldier for 40 years, he said. His voice was quiet, but everyone heard him. "I have fought in 3 wars. I have buried many friends. I have seen what fear can do to people." He paused. "I have also seen what courage can do." Someone in the crowd laughed. It was a bitter, hopeless laugh. "Courage against that." The man pointed at the ceiling toward the ships above. "They have weapons we cannot even understand. They have conquered the entire galaxy. What can courage do against that?" Nodded slowly. "You are right. They are stronger. They are bigger. They have more ships and better weapons. If we fight them, many of us will die." He looked at the man who had spoken. But if we do not fight them, all of us will die. Not today, not tomorrow, but slowly, year after year. They will take our children, they will take our homes, they will take everything that makes us human. And when there is nothing left to take, they will throw us away like garbage. The hall was silent again. I have a daughter, said. She is 22 years old. She wants to be a doctor. She wants to help people. His voice broke slightly. I would rather die fighting than live knowing I gave her to these creatures. He turned to face President. Madam President, I know what I am asking. I know the cost. But I am asking you and everyone here to do something that has never been done before. Looked into his eyes, she saw no fear there, only fire. What are you asking, Admiral? Turned back to the crowd. He raised his voice so that every person in the hall could hear. I am asking us to refuse them. The crowd exploded again. Some people cheered, others cursed, many cried. But felt the fire in her own chest grow stronger. She raised her hand. Slowly the noise died down. We will vote, she said. Every colony, every citizen. This decision is too big for any one person to make. In 48 hours, humanity will choose. The vote happened. People argued in their homes. Families fought. Friends became enemies. It was the longest 2 days in human history. When the results came in, read them 3 times to make sure she understood. It was unanimous. Every single human colony, every single vote counted. The answer was the same everywhere. No. Walked to the broadcast center. She sat down in front of the camera. She knew that every human in existence was watching. She knew that the aliens were watching too. She thought about her mother, who had died when was young. She thought about her father, who had taught her to never give up. She thought about all the humans who had ever lived and died and dreamed of reaching the stars. She looked into the camera. To the Galaxy Council, she said, we have received your demands, we have considered them carefully, and we have made our decision. She paused. We will not surrender. Somewhere far away, aboard the largest alien ship, High Arbiter received the message. He watched the small human woman speak her words of defiance. Then he laughed. It was a cold, empty sound. How wonderful, he said to his servants. They have chosen the hard path. Contact Warlord. Tell him to show these creatures what happens to species who refuse us. The servants bowed and left. Looked out the window at the blue planet below. Such a small world, he whispered. Such small creatures, they do not know what they have done. But High Arbiter was wrong. Humanity knew exactly what they had done. And they were just getting started. Warlord stood on the bridge of his flagship and smiled. He was massive. His body was covered in metal and machine parts. His arms had been replaced with weapons. His eyes glowed red in the darkness. He had conquered 200 worlds in his long life. He had killed millions. He enjoyed his work. The humans have refused tribute, his lieutenant said. High Arbiter wants them punished. Smile grew wider. Which world should we destroy first? The lieutenant checked his data. There is a colony called Nova, 12 million humans. It is far from Earth, easy to reach. Perfect, said. We will burn it. We will broadcast the destruction to every human world. Then they will learn to obey. His fleet of 300 warships turned toward Nova. On Earth, Admiral received the warning. His intelligence officers had detected the enemy fleet moving through space. They calculated the target in minutes. Nova said quietly. He closed his eyes. 12 million people, families, children, dreams, all of them would die if he did nothing. But what could he do? The Council ships were faster, stronger, and carried weapons that could cut through human armor like water through sand. He called his officers together. We cannot beat them in a direct fight, he said, so we will not fight directly. Captain Minu leaned forward. He was 32 years old, the best pilot in the fleet. His hands never shook. His eyes never blinked. He was born to fly. What do you have in mind, Admiral? Pulled up a hologram of the enemy fleet. Their shields are too strong for our weapons. Their hulls are too thick, but every system has a weakness. He pointed to the center of one ship. Doctor has been working on something, a device that attacks shields from the inside. Doctor stepped forward. She was small and thin, with glasses that were always falling off her face, but her mind was sharper than any weapon. I call them gravitational disruptors, she said. They create a small black hole inside the shield barrier. The shield collapses. For about 30 seconds, the ship is completely vulnerable. Minyu nodded slowly. 30 seconds, that is not much time. It is enough, said. If we can plant these devices on their ships, we can break their shields. Then our weapons will work. How do we plant them? Another officer asked. We cannot get close enough, they will destroy us. Looked at Minyu. Not if they do not see us as a threat. The plan was simple and insane. Minyu would lead a squadron of old fighters, ships so outdated that the Council would not consider them worth shooting. They would fly directly at the enemy fleet, looking like a desperate suicide attack. But they would not be attacking, they would be planting devices. 3 days later, the battle began. Fleet arrived at Nova. The planet was beautiful, green forests, blue oceans, white clouds, cities that sparkled with light. Looked at it and saw only fuel for his weapons. Begin the bombardment, he ordered. But before his ships could fire, alarms sounded across the fleet. Warlord, human ships approaching. Looked at the tactical display, he laughed. That is their defense, 50 small fighters against 300 warships. He waved his mechanical hand. Ignore them, continue the attack. His weapons officers obeyed. The great guns of the Council fleet aimed at Nova. Minyu flew through space at impossible speeds. His hands moved across the controls. His heart beat steady and strong. All pilots, he said into his communicator, stay in formation, we only get one chance. The Council ships grew larger in his window. They were so big, so terrifying. Any one of them could destroy his entire squadron with a single shot. But they were not shooting. They think we are nothing, Minyu whispered. Good. His squadron reached the first warship. They flew along its massive hull, so close that Minyu could see the alien symbols carved into the metal. Deploy devices, now. Small pods launched from each fighter. They attached to the enemy hulls with magnetic locks. Then Minyu's squadron flew to the next ship, and the next, and the next. They planted 37 devices before realized what was happening. They are not attacking, his lieutenant said suddenly. They are attaching something to our ships. His red eyes widened. Destroy them now. The Council fleet finally opened fire. Space became chaos, explosions everywhere. Minyu saw 3 of his pilots die instantly, then 5 more, then 10. Fall back, Minyu screamed. Fall back to the fleet. The surviving fighters turned and ran. Behind them, warships gave chase. Then pressed a button on her console. 37 devices activated at the same time. 37 small black holes appeared inside 37 Council shields. The shields collapsed. All ships, Admiral commanded, fire everything. The human fleet had been hiding behind Novus Moon. 200 ships, every vessel humanity could gather. Their weapons were old. Their armor was weak. But now, for 30 precious seconds, they had a chance. Missiles flew. Lasers fired. Nuclear warheads exploded against naked hulls. Council ships began to die. Watched in horror as his fleet burned. 20 ships destroyed in the first volley, then 30, then 50. This is impossible, he roared. They are insects, they are nothing. But the insects were winning. The battle lasted 4 hours. Human ships died by the dozens. Council ships died by the scores. The space around Nova filled with wreckage and fire and death. When it was over, was forced to retreat. His 300 ships were reduced to 112. Humanity had lost 60% of its defending fleet. But Nova survived. 12 million people watched the enemy flee. They cried, they screamed, they held each other. They were alive. Minyu landed his damaged fighter on the surface of Nova. His hands were covered in blood from gripping the controls too hard. His body shook with exhaustion. A crowd gathered around him, people he had never met, people whose lives he had saved. A little girl walked up to him. She was maybe 7 years old. She held a flower in her small hand. "Thank you," she said, and gave him the flower. Minyu took it. He looked at the flower. He looked at the girl. He looked at the sky where the last council ships were disappearing into the darkness. For the first time in his life, he cried. On his damaged flagship, screamed with rage. He destroyed everything around him. He killed 3 of his own officers. He swore revenge on every human in existence. But far away, in the dark corners of the galaxy, other species heard what had happened. The who had been slaves for 1,000 years whispered to each other in their underground tunnels. The who had forgotten their own history began to remember old stories of freedom. The who had given up all hope felt something strange stirring in their hearts. Humanity had done the impossible. They had fought the council and survived. They had protected their people. They had proven that the masters could bleed. A single word spread through the galaxy, passed from slave to slave, from prisoner to prisoner, from the broken to the forgotten. Hope. High Arbiter received the report of defeat. He sat in silence for a long time. "Interesting," he finally said. "These humans are more dangerous than I thought." He pressed a button on his throne. Mobilized the full fleet, every ship, every weapon, every soldier. His black eyes showed no emotion. "We will not make this mistake again." The greatest military force in the history of the galaxy began to move. And humanity, bloody and broken but still standing, prepared for the next battle. President Park visited the memorial for the fallen. Thousands of names, thousands of heroes. Admiral stood beside her. "We won today," he said quietly, "but they will come back with everything they have." Nodded, "I know. We need allies. We cannot fight alone." Looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, billions of enslaved beings were hearing about Nova. Somewhere out there, hope was spreading. "Then I will find them," she said, "no matter what it takes." She turned and walked away. The war had just begun. President Park's ship was small and old. It had no weapons. It had no armor. It was built for speed and silence, nothing more. She sat alone in her cabin, watching the stars pass by the window. Her security team had begged her not to go. Admiral had called her decision madness. Even her own advisors said she was throwing her life away. But knew the truth. Humanity could not survive alone. The Council was coming with everything they had. If Earth stood by itself, Earth would fall. She needed to find allies, and allies could only be found in one place. The hollowed stations. Nobody knew who built the hollowed stations. They floated in the darkest part of the galaxy, far from any star or planet. They were ancient, they were massive, and they were home to everyone the Council had broken. Refugees from conquered worlds lived there. Survivors of destroyed species hid in the shadows. Criminals, exiles, and the forgotten gathered in its endless corridors. The Council knew about the hollowed stations but did not bother to destroy them. Why would they? The beings who lived there were no threat. They were beaten. They were hopeless. They were waiting to die. Ship docked at the main station. She stepped out alone, wearing simple clothes. No guards, no flags, no symbols of her position. The station was dark and dirty. Strange smells filled the air. Aliens of every shape and size moved through the corridors. Some had too many eyes, some had no eyes at all. Some walked, some floated, Some crawled along the walls. All of them stared at her. A human here, alone. Whispers followed her everywhere. She heard words in languages she did not understand. She felt eyes watching from every shadow. She walked for hours, searching, asking questions, getting doors closed in her face. Finally, she found what she was looking for. A bar hidden in the deepest part of the station. Inside sat a creature that looked like a pile of gray rocks. Its name was Thorn, and it had once been a general of the people. "I know who you are," Thorn said when sat down across from it. Its voice sounded like stones grinding together. "You are the human president, the one who refused the council." "Yes," said simply. "You are brave or stupid. I cannot decide which." "Maybe both." Thorn made a sound that might have been a laugh. "What do you want here, human? We have nothing to offer you. We are the leftovers, the garbage. The council took everything from us long ago." Leaned forward. "I want you to fight with us." Thorn stared at her with its many small eyes. For a long moment it said nothing. Then it laughed, a real laugh this time, loud and bitter. "Fight? We do not fight anymore. We cannot fight. There were warriors once, the greatest warriors in this arm of the galaxy. Do you know what happened to us?" Shook her head. "The council came. We fought them. We lost. They did not just defeat us. They broke us. They they killed our females and children. They left only the males so we could not make more. We are the last generation. When we die, our species dies with us." Thorn's voice became quiet. "That was 800 years ago. We have been waiting to die ever since." Felt her heart break, but she did not look away. "I am sorry for what happened to your people," she said. "I cannot give you back what you lost. I cannot promise you victory. I cannot even promise you survival." "Then what can you promise?" Stood up, she looked around the bar. Other aliens were watching, listening. She raised her voice so all of them could hear. "I can promise you this. Humanity will fight the council. We will probably lose. We will probably die, but we will die free. We will die standing on our feet, not kneeling on our knees." She looked back at Thorn. "You can stay here. You can wait for death in the darkness, or you can come with us. You can fight one last time. You can show the council that they did not break you completely. You can die as warriors." The bar was silent. Thorn stood up slowly. It was bigger than had realized, taller than any human. Its rocky body was covered in old scars. "You are either very brave," it said, "or very, very stupid." Smiled slightly. "I told you, maybe both." Thorn made that grinding sound again. Then it reached out one massive hand and placed it on shoulder. "I like you, human. I think I will follow you into death." From the shadows, other emerged. Dozens of them. Old warriors with tired eyes and broken spirits. But something new flickered in those eyes now. Something that had been dead for centuries. Hope. Word spread through the hollowed stations. The human president was recruiting. She was building an army of the forgotten. More species came. The tall and thin with minds that could calculate impossible things. The small and quick who had once been the greatest engineers in the galaxy. Others came too. Species with no names left. Species with only a handful of survivors. Species who had forgotten how to hope. Met with all of them. She told them the same thing. She did not lie. She did not make false promises. She simply told them the truth. "We will probably die, but we will die free, and we will make the council remember us." One by one they joined. Old shipyards hidden in asteroids began to wake up. Ancient weapons were pulled from forgotten storage. Engineers worked day and night, repairing machines that had not moved in centuries. The coalition of the forgotten was born. Far away, on a council diplomatic station, Ambassador watched these events unfold. She was different from most council species. Her people had joined the council willingly, long ago. They had traded their freedom for comfort. They had become administrators, diplomats, servants of the empire. Had always accepted this. It was the way things were. The council was too powerful to resist. Fighting was pointless. Better to serve and survive. But then the humans came. She had watched Park's broadcast. She had seen the small woman look into the camera and say those impossible words. "We will not surrender." Something had stirred inside, something she did not understand. She began to watch the humans more closely. She read their history. She studied their culture. She learned about their wars, their struggles, their endless refusal to give up. They were fascinating and terrifying and beautiful. When news of the coalition reached her, made a decision. She began to leak information. Small things at first, ship movements, communication codes, patrol schedules. She sent the data to hidden channels that the coalition monitored. She knew she would be caught eventually. She knew what would happen to her. But for the first time in her long life, she felt alive. President returned to Earth 3 weeks later. She brought with her the leaders of 12 species. Her small ship was followed by hundreds of others. Old ships, broken ships, ships held together by wire and prayer. But ships that were ready to fight. Admiral met her at the dock. His eyes widened as he watched the alien vessels arrive. "How?" he asked simply. Smiled. "I told them the truth. I told them we would probably die. And they still came. Yes, because dying free is better than living as a slave." Looked at the fleet, at the aliens, at the impossible alliance that stood before him. "It is still not enough," he said quietly. "The council is coming with everything. We are still outnumbered 100-1. Put her hand on his arm. "Then we will make each life count for 100. We will fight until we cannot fight anymore. And if we fall, we will fall so loudly that the entire galaxy will hear." Was silent for a moment, then he nodded. "Then let us prepare. The council will be here soon." Above them, ships from a dozen species orbited Earth. Humans and aliens working side by side. Enemies of the council united for the first time in history. It was not an army. It was a miracle. And miracles sometimes are enough. They came like a wave of darkness. 3,000 council warships, the largest fleet ever assembled in galactic history. They blocked the stars themselves as they surrounded Earth. Admiral stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Unbroken, and watched them arrive. His face showed nothing. His hands did not shake, but deep inside he felt the weight of every life depending on him. "How many?" he asked quietly. His tactical officer swallowed hard. 3,200 ships, Admiral, plus support vessels, plus automated weapons platforms. She paused. "We have 400. 400. Humans and coalition forces combined, against more than 3,000. The numbers were impossible, everyone knew it. But nobody ran. Warlord's face appeared on every screen. His mechanical body had been repaired and upgraded since Nova. New weapons covered his arms. New armor protected his chest. His red eyes burned with hatred. "Humans," he said, his voice echoed across Earth. "I give you one final chance. Surrender your Admiral and your President Park. They will be executed publicly. In exchange, your species will be allowed to live as tribute slaves." He smiled. It was a terrible thing to see. "You have 1 hour to decide." The transmission ended. President sat in her bunker deep beneath Seoul. Her advisors surrounded her. Some were crying, some were praying, some simply stared at nothing. "What do we do?" someone asked. Maybe if we give them what they want." Stood up, she walked to the communication console and pressed a button. "Admirals, are you there?" "I am here, Madam President." "What is the status of our fleet?" There was a pause, ready to fight, ready to die if necessary. Nodded to herself, "Then we give our answer." She pressed another button. Her face appeared on every screen on Earth. Every human in existence saw her. People of Earth, people of the colonies, our enemies are here. They demand our surrender. They demand our leaders. They demand our freedom. She took a deep breath. We say no. She looked directly into the camera. Today we fight, not because we know we will win, but because some things are worth fighting for even if we lose. Freedom is one of those things. Our children are one of those things. Our future is one of those things. Her voice grew stronger. To the Council I say this, you may destroy us. You may burn our worlds. You may kill every last human being in existence, but you will never break us. We will fight until our last breath. And when we are gone, the galaxy will remember that humanity never surrendered. She ended the transmission. In space, every human ship rose to meet the enemy. Behind them came the Coalition fleet. Old ships, broken ships, ships crewed by species who had forgotten hope until now. 400 against 3,000. The siege of Earth began. The first day was the worst. Council ships attacked from every direction. Their weapons carved through human vessels. Explosions lit up the darkness. Ships died by the dozens. But humans and their allies fought back. Captain Minu flew mission after mission. His fighters darted between the giant warships, planting doctors' devices wherever they could. Each successful plant meant another enemy shield collapsed. Each collapsed shield meant another chance. Stay together, Minu screamed into his communicator. Watch each other's backs. A council beam struck the fighter next to him. The pilot, a young woman named, had no time to scream. Her ship simply disappeared. Minu kept flying, he had to. On the Unbroken, Admiral directed the battle from his command chair. He had not slept in 2 days. He had not eaten in one. His eyes were red and tired, but his voice remained calm. Third Fleet cover the left flank. Coalition forces concentrate fire on the damaged cruiser. All reserves hold position. A missile struck the Unbroken. The ship shook violently. Sparks flew from consoles. Officers screamed. Damage report demanded. Hull breach on Deck 7. Weapon systems at 60%. Shields failing. Continue fighting. The battle raged for 19 days. 19 days of death. 19 days of fire. 19 days of impossible courage. Doctor worked without rest. When one weapon failed, she invented another. When one system broke, she fixed it with whatever she could find. Her lab became a factory of desperate innovation. I need more power, she told her assistants. Redirect everything. Life support, gravity lights, everything goes to the weapons. But doctor, without life support, we will freeze or suffocate slowly. The council will kill us quickly. I prefer to keep fighting. Her assistants obeyed. On day 15, when all seemed lost, the coalition of the forgotten proved its worth. Thorn, the old general, led a suicide charge against Command Group. 50 coalition ships against 500 council vessels. They knew they would die. They charged anyway. For 800 years we waited for death, Thorn broadcast to his warriors. Today we choose how we die, as warriors, as free beings, as. The charge broke through the council lines. It created a gap that the human fleet exploited. 3 council carriers were destroyed. Himself was nearly killed. Thorn died with a smile on his rocky face. The coalition ships kept coming. Whenever one gap was sealed, another attack created a new one. The forgotten species of the galaxy fought with the fury of beings who had nothing left to lose. On day 17, Ambassador's betrayal was discovered. Council security forces found the evidence of her transmissions. They dragged her from her quarters. They brought her before a tribunal. You have betrayed your people, the judge said. You have betrayed the council. You have betrayed everything we stand for. Looked at her accusers, she felt no fear. I have betrayed nothing, she said. I have finally found something worth serving, something bigger than fear, something bigger than survival. The judge sentenced her to death. But before the sentence could be carried out, transmitted one final message: the location of the Council's central communication frequency, the key to their entire command network. Coalition operatives received the transmission. They shared it with the human fleet. For 11 critical minutes, the Council fleet was blind and deaf. In those 11 minutes, the human fleet destroyed 53 enemy ships and disabled 100 more. Was executed shortly after. She died thinking about freedom. On day 19, lost patience. He had lost too many ships, too many soldiers. These insects, these pathetic humans and their broken allies, had cost him more than any enemy in his long life. "Deploy the Star Eater," he ordered. His officers hesitated. "Warlord, the Star Eater is forbidden, even High Arbiter." "I do not care," roared. "Deploy it now. I want this planet destroyed. I want every human in existence to die screaming." The Star Eater emerged from his flagship. It was not large. It did not look dangerous. It was simply a sphere of dark metal, no bigger than a house. But inside that sphere was a weapon that could destabilize a star. It could make suns explode. It could destroy entire solar systems. Doctor detected it immediately. Her face went pale. "Admiral," she said, her voice shaking, "they have deployed something, a weapon I do not recognize, but its energy signature." She checked her readings again. "It is pointing at the sun." "Understood immediately." "Can we stop it?" "Not from outside. The device is shielded. Our weapons cannot touch it." Looked at him. "Someone would have to get inside, destroy it from within." "A suicide mission." "Yes." Admiral was quiet for a long moment. He thought about his daughter. He thought about the memorial he had visited after Nova. He thought about all the names that would be added if he failed. Then he stood up. "I will go." His officers protested. His crew begged him to stay, but had made his decision. "I am old," he said simply. "I have lived a good life. Let me die a good death." He walked to the shuttle bay. President's voice came over his communicator. "Please, there must be another way." "There is no other way, you know this." He paused. "Take care of our people, take care of my daughter, win this war." "Goodbye, Madam President. It has been an honor." He ended the communication. His shuttle launched into the chaos of battle. And the galaxy held its breath. Admiral's shuttle flew through hell. Explosions surrounded him on every side. Laser beams cut through the darkness. Ships died in flashes of fire and light. The battle for Earth raged on but had only one target: the Star Eater. It floated near his flagship, that small sphere of dark metal. It did not look like a weapon that could destroy a star. It looked almost peaceful. But knew what it was. He knew what it would do, and he knew he was the only one who could stop it. "Admiral," Captain Minu's voice came through his communicator. "I am coming with you. I am bringing my squadron." "No, I need you to survive, Minu. Someone has to lead the fleet when I am gone." "Sir." "That is an order, Captain." There was silence on the other end. Then quietly, "Yes, sir. Good luck, Admiral." Smiled slightly, "Thank you, son." He pushed his shuttle faster. The Star Eater was protected by his personal guard. 12 heavy cruisers surrounded it. Their weapons tracked anything that came close. Knew he could not fly through them. His shuttle was too slow, too weak. He needed a distraction. "Doctor," he said into his communicator, "I need your help." His voice came back immediately. "What do you need, Admiral?" "Something big, something bright, something that will make them look away for 30 seconds." There was a pause, then laughed. It was a tired, desperate laugh. "I have just the thing." 3 minutes later, every surviving human ship fired at once. Not at the Star Eater, not its flagship. They fired at empty space. The missiles and beams converged at a single point. They created a flash of light so bright that it blinded every sensor in the area. For 30 seconds, nothing could see anything. Flew through the blindness. His shuttle hit the Star Eater at full speed. The impact nearly killed him. Metal screamed. Glass shattered. His body was thrown against his restraints so hard that he felt bones crack. But he was inside. He pulled himself from the wreckage of his shuttle. His left arm was broken. Blood ran down his face from a cut on his forehead. Every breath hurt. He did not stop. The inside of the Star Eater was strange. The walls glowed with purple light. Strange symbols covered every surface. The air was thick and heavy, filled with energy that made his skin burn. Walked forward. His broken arm hung at his side. His good hand held a plasma pistol. He knew he was looking for the control core, the heart of the weapon. If he could destroy it, the Star Eater would die. He walked for what felt like hours. The corridors twisted and turned. Sometimes they seemed to move by themselves. Sometimes the walls breathed like living things. Finally, he found it. A chamber at the center of the sphere. Inside was a column of pure energy, spinning and pulsing. It was beautiful and terrible. It was the power of a dying star, contained in a space no bigger than a room. And standing in front of it was Warlord. "I knew you would come," said. His voice echoed in the chamber. "Humans are so predictable, so heroic, so stupid." Raised his pistol, "Step away from the device." Laughed. "Or what? You will shoot me. Look at yourself, human. You are broken, bleeding, dying. I am a machine of war. I have killed thousands with these hands." He stepped forward. His mechanical body hummed with power. His red eyes glowed in the darkness. "But I must admit, I admire you. Your species has caused me more trouble than any other in my long life. You should be proud." "I am not proud," said. His voice was steady despite the pain. "I am just doing what needs to be done." Duty, honor, sacrifice," shook his head. "Such simple concepts. Do you know why the Council always wins, human? Because we have no honor, we have no mercy. We do whatever is necessary to achieve our goals. Then we are different." "Yes, and that is why you will lose." Moved. He was fast, impossibly fast for something so large. His mechanical arm swung towards head. Ducked. The arm missed by centimeters. He fired his pistol. The shot hit chest but did nothing. The armor was too strong. Grabbed by the throat and lifted him off the ground. "Did you really think you could beat me?" Squeezed, could not breathe. "I have conquered 200 worlds. I have killed billions. You are nothing. Your species is nothing. You are insects." His vision began to fade. His lungs screamed for air. His broken arm hung useless at his side. But his good hand was not empty. With his last strength, he pressed a button on his belt. A small device activated, one of his gravitational disruptors, modified, enhanced, designed to create a black hole much larger than the ones used in battle. Saw it, his red eyes widened. "No." Smiled, blood stained his teeth. "Yes." The black hole formed between them. It was small at first, then it grew and grew and grew. Dropped and tried to run, but the gravity was too strong. He was pulled backward. His mechanical body twisted and screamed. "This is impossible," howled. "I am eternal, I am invincible, I am." The black hole swallowed him. His screams cut off instantly. Lay on the floor, unable to move. The black hole was growing larger. Soon it would consume the Star Eater completely, and him with it. He thought about his daughter. He hoped she would understand. He thought about President. He hoped she would win the war. He thought about humanity. He hoped they would remember him. The black hole reached the control core. The energy column collapsed. The Star Eater began to tear itself apart. Closed his eyes. "We will not surrender," he whispered. The explosion consumed everything. On the Unbroken, Captain Minu watched the Star Eater disappear in a flash of light. flagship, caught in the blast, broke apart seconds later. The enemy fleet froze. Their communications were dead. Their commander was dead. Their ultimate weapon was dead. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then Minu grabbed his communicator. All ships, the Star Eater is destroyed, is dead, attack now. Attack with everything you have, for Admiral, for Earth, for humanity. The combined fleet surged forward. The Council ships, leaderless and confused, began to fall apart. Some tried to fight, some tried to run. None succeeded. The battle turned in minutes. What had been a desperate defense became a devastating counterattack. Human and coalition ships hunted down the enemy without mercy. By the end of the day, the Council fleet was broken. Half their ships were destroyed. The rest fled into the darkness of space. Earth had survived. President stood on the bridge of the Unbroken, watching the last enemy ships disappear. Her face was wet with tears. "We won," someone said beside her. She shook her head. "No, won. He bought this victory with his life." She looked at the spot where the Star Eater had been. Nothing remained. No wreckage, no debris, just empty space. "I want a memorial," she said quietly, "here, in this exact spot, so that no one ever forgets what he did." "Yes, Madam President." Wiped her eyes. There would be time for mourning later. Right now there was still work to do. Contact all surviving ships, begin rescue operations, and get me a channel to the coalition leaders. We need to plan our next move. Because the war was not over, the Council was wounded but not dead. High Arbiter was still out there. He would send more ships, more weapons, more death. But something had changed, something fundamental. Humanity had proven it could fight. It had proven it could win. And across the galaxy, billions of enslaved beings had seen what a small species from a small world could do. The revolution had begun. An admiral, the man who gave his life for freedom, would never be forgotten.